Welcome to Brain Wrestling. My name is Derek Christopher. Of course, I am here with the Jacob to my Esau, the Joseph to my Mary, Walter Jacobson. Walter, good to see you.
Yo,
Okay, because we're being very religious. I hope you don't mind. I'd like to start with a little prayer. Um,
absolutely.
I I purchased the Trump Bible, the God Bless the USA Bible. Now I'm looking through
You
this,
got a
Walter.
problem
Tell
with
me,
that?
huh?
You got a problem with that?
Well, tell me what your favorite amendment is, or tell me what your favorite article is, because that
You
that
mean
seems to be the priority of this particular Bible. Is that it's got the Constitution, it's got a message from Lee Greenwood. Here's the oddest thing about the Bible. I mean, I know MAGA loves religion and they love Jesus and whatnot. The pages of this Bible literally are sticking together. I want to know what they are doing that
oh,
they're
you,
treating this Bible like it's a Playboy magazine.
oh, you dirty bird. Uh, well, that's pretty. I agree. That's pretty crazy. And this certainly is like an extremist Bible, obviously, and conflating. What happened to the separation of church and state? I mean, that's kind of wild.
Well, somebody asked them that, and they said it's literally. I swear to God, their answer was it's separated by a page,
By a sticky page.
by a sticky page. I hadn't opened it. I actually bought this thing like 2 months ago, and I just opened it up now, and I swear to God, the pages were sticking together, and that was the first thought that popped in my head. I thought either this is either Clinton's Bible or it's a MAGA Bible.
Yeah,
Maybe
well, but or it's just cheap paper and like it was sitting in a warehouse in a damp warehouse or something. But
in China.
but I get it. Yeah, well, you know, what's sad about religion and God and Christianity and all this stuff is that the the far right, and all these fundamentalists and everything, they've kind of like made other people think that religion is bad or God is bad because they've freaked it out so much.
Well, they're doing exactly what the left did with wokeism. They're trying to shove Jesus down your throat. So we went all the way to the left with the woke. Now we're going to go all the way to the right with Jesus, and it's gonna just piss off the other side.
It's ridiculous, yeah, there should not be so much resentment against God personally, but they're doing that.
Well, let me ask you this. So, the Texas State Board of Education, in a vote of 8-7, allowed for Bible infused teachings in elementary schools. Now, you say, okay, well, it's voluntary, but here's my issue with it. One, you're saying Christianity is basically the only religion. And two, they're giving financial incentives to the schools if they teach about the Bible and Jesus, anywhere from $40 to $60 per student. Now, keep in mind, in Texas, there are five students in that teaching in that school system. So you're talking about a $200 million to $250 million bonus that they're going to get for teaching about the Bible.
Yeah, it's totally wrong, and it's the same thing where we didn't like it when they were teaching the 4-year-olds about sex education and becoming trans, and we
Yeah,
don't like it stuffing this religious stuff. It's not right, and I agree with you. If they want to do religion, do a comparative religion course that everyone can take if they want.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, I totally
Now,
agree.
now they used to do. You know what? Like one thing I think that they should do is they should bring back the Pledge of Allegiance every day in school. The first thing we would do, we'd
Million.
go in, we'd say the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Because I think it was a patriotic thing to do. You can't do that anymore. They don't want you to do that anymore.
It's actually not only a patriotic thing to do, it's actually kind of a smart geopolitical thing to do because, I just saw some story about some scientist who had helped, create a whole bunch of weapons for the United States, and then he sold them to China. Why? Maybe there was no like Pledge of Allegiance. You know what I mean? Maybe people aren't getting the idea of be loyal to your country and don't betray your country, but they're not going to get that if they don't like do these sorts of things.
But isn't this a slippery slope that Trump takes, that Tulsi Gabbard takes? That when you start befriending Kim Jong Un, you start befriending Putin, you start befriending Xi, that all of a sudden it's like, oh, we're sympathetic to China, we're sympathetic to Putin, we're sympathetic to North Korea. I mean, look, how many people don't think that the Holocaust exists anymore because no one wants to talk about the truth anymore?
I know that's very true and that's very scary, but there's a fine line though between being pals with these different world leaders who are fascists and dictators and having a communication with them. I think it is important to have a dialogue, be able to have a dialogue with them, even if there are deadly enemies, as opposed to Biden, who's saying, no, I'm not going to talk to them at all. They're bad people.
I agree you should talk to them, but I think when you start saying that you're friends with them and they miss you, I mean, Kim Jong-un just came out and said that he's very hesitant to want to deal with the United States now because Trump's rhetoric has been so strong and they want to continue their nuclear program. Why would he be friends with Trump? Because Trump is not going to help him at this point.
Yeah. So the problem is that we don't have a universal translator for Trump talk. You know what I mean? It's like when he says something bombastic and absurd, oh, like we're pals, and that's not good. And if they could translate it into what a sensible, normal president would say, it might work out. Because I don't think he's trying to make the point that he's pals with the guy and he's going to collude with the guy. Personally, I don't believe that. I believe what he's really saying is, I am able to negotiate with the guy. I'm able to talk to the guy on a personal level. That's all. But he's such a jerk the way he like bombastically and absurdly, exaggerates everything that he comes off insane.
Well, remember, he said that not when he takes office, after he gets elected, within a day after he wins the election, he was going to put an end to the Ukraine-Russian war.
I will prevent, and very easily, World War III, very easily. Before I even arrive at the Oval Office, I will have the disastrous war between Russia and Ukraine settled. It will be settled quickly. I will get the problem solved, and I will get it solved in rapid order, and it will take me no longer than one day.
So what happened? Was that just all bullshit? It's like, what is he doing? He actually talked to Zelensky. He had Musk talk to Zelensky. I'm sure he's talked to Putin. You don't hear Trump talk anything about Russia right now.
Yeah. Well, did he say that the day after he was elected or the day after he
said specifically the day he was elected.
Okay, so that's another example of an absurd Trumpism where he says something that's ridiculous because he obviously doesn't even have the power to do that at this point in time. But it will be interesting to see what he does with this whole Ukraine thing, because a lot of people are talking about it being a massive money laundering operation, and the military industrial complex is making a fortune, and he's also pushing us towards the brink of nuclear war. So I hope he can do something to curtail this money flow, because I think it's hurting us by printing all these dollars.
But do you think, wouldn't he have done something by now? You know, when Reagan took office from Jimmy Carter, I mean, he was obviously negotiating with the Iranians before then to get the hostages released. So that was all going on behind the scenes. Do you think anything like that's going on beyond Trump telling Zelensky, hey, just give up the Ukraine and move on? I mean, you've got Finland now worried about Russia coming in. You've got Sweden worried about it. You've got Poland worried about it. I mean, you can't tell me all these countries have illegitimate concerns about Russia coming in.
Oh, no, the concerns are legitimate, but there's also concerns as why did Biden suddenly decide to let them shoot missiles into Russia as a provocative kind of action?
Well, you know, that's him he's trying to get an end to this war before he leaves office.
Who is Biden?
Biden. I think Biden's going to make riskier moves, which isn't good. He's going to make riskier moves that's going to push Putin to the brink of doing something that he shouldn't be doing.
Well, yeah. So, but how could he possibly think, although he is demented, how could he think that by escalating a situation, he's going to resolve it?
You know, maybe he feels if he gets America in deeper and deeper, it's going to be harder for Trump to get us out of it.
Well, and that seems to be in general his MO right now is let's spend as much money as we can. Let's try to lock down every program that we've got so it's like Trump proof and he can't reverse it, which I don't think is really fair. I mean, if the American people said we want this new regime, maybe he should let Trump just take over and not do all this shit.
I think I saw a newscaster, I think it was somebody who was a guest on CNN, and she said everybody should take a step back and let Trump do what Trump does, because let him rise or fall on everything he said. Let him institute the tariffs. Let him deal with healthcare. Let him do all these things. Now, if he fucks it up, then we're all kind of fucked. But if you don't let him do it, then he's just going to say, well, you never let me do anything.
Absolutely. And if he fucks it up, then he's done and Vance is done and the whole Republican regime that could follow could be done. You know what I mean?
And you're gonna see that anyways. Come in 2 years, in 2026 with the midterms, you're going to see how Trump is doing, because if he's not doing well, you're going to see the House and the Senate go back to the Democrats.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have to hope that maybe he can make a difference at the border and with inflation and with the Ukraine war and some other things. But yeah, if he doesn't, then we could go back to the wokeism and the censorship and the and that whole regime on the left. Not good.
Well, what's worse? It's so funny because I actually really think about this. Is the Jesus stuff really that bad compared to the wokeism stuff? And I don't think it. I know that sounds crazy. I don't think it is.
What is which that bad?
Is the Jesus stuff is pushing the Bible and Jesus down people's throat
Okay.
as bad as the wokeism stuff? And
No,
I don't
no,
think it is.
no, not at all. Because the Jesus stuff, people can go, screw it. They want to read the Bible, and not it's not that big of a deal. But this woke stuff, they
Yeah.
stuff it down everyone's throat, where it's in your face, and the he and the she and the they and the them, and and you can get canceled if you don't like follow the rules.
Well, what do you think about the Louisiana governor Jeff Landry wanting to put the Ten Commandments into public schools, putting a big statue there with the Ten Commandments on it, which they recently just actually a federal judge just shot it down and said you can't do
Yeah,
it. Should they be
no,
allowed to do that?
it's ridiculous. There needs to be a separation of church and state, and this kind of is the same example of that. Even though the school system isn't state, it's up to the parents to teach their children religion. It's not up to the
Yeah.
schools. And again, if they want to go to college and have a comparative religion or have it in high school as an elective, go ahead. But the parents should teach religion, not the schools.
See, but here's the problem. You had Oklahoma Superintendent Ryan, what's his name? Ryan Walters. This is what he said on CNN. He said, President Trump has a clear mandate. He wants prayer back in school. So he's pushed to have $3 million in the budget put towards Bibles for public schools. And he was so obnoxious on TV saying, we need to get Christianity back in there. We need to get the Bible back in there. This is what Trump wants. Why is there this delusion that Trump wants anything to do with Jesus or Christianity or the Bible? The guy has lived his entire life living contrary to everything that's in the Bible. So it just boggles my mind that people think that somehow this is a God-fearing guy that wants Jesus in everybody's life.
Yeah, but what's funny is he's always touted himself not being a politician. But
Yeah.
what this whole thing is all politician. It's all about, getting a block of voters on his side. So he touts all of this stuff. I agree with you. I don't believe he's a particularly religious guy, because if he was, he wouldn't have lived his life the way he has. But that's true of a lot of people. A lot of people
Well,
out there are very pious, and they say we love God and this, and they go to. I know Stephen Colbert goes to like church every week, and yet you watch his show and he's an incredibly judgmental, angry asshole. So, what do you do about that?
but I have found that the people that are actually truly religious, that are not even so much religious, they're spiritual. They understand whether it's Christianity or it's Judaism or it's Sikhism, whatever it is. They don't have to talk about it. They don't have to shove it down everybody's throat. They don't have to go out and sell a $60 Bible. They don't have to tell the schools we need to put it in your face. Religion and spirituality should be a very personal decision.
Absolutely. And it's true in general. When you're secure within yourself, you don't have to brag about it or try to convince other people to be like you or do or think like you or anything. But I'll tell you what's really offensive is, did you say $3 billion for Bibles, or?
3 million with an M.
Okay, that's still too much. That's three
It's still
million
too
that could go
much.
to feeding people. That's
Yeah.
absurd.
Yeah, he wants to purchase these Bible for the public schools, and it's like, where's that money coming from? It's no different. In Texas, if they give a $40 to $60 incentive per student, where is that $200 million for education going to come from? I mean, school systems are already barely making it. I mean, the teachers are putting in their own money. How is the government, whether it's in Texas or any other state, where are they going to come up with this $200 million to shove Jesus down people's throats?
I don't know, and maybe they'll just print it up like they do with everything else. But the bigger issue is, though, the kids aren't going to read that.
Yeah.
It won't even happen. So it's totally firewood. It's ridiculous.
But at the same time, you know what? It's like the parents that complained about having to say the Pledge of Allegiance in class every day. It's like, why? If you want to live in this country, why can't you be proud to live in this country? Why can't you be proud to be an American? Why are you so afraid of your kid to say the Pledge of Allegiance?
I don't know, but I wonder if it has to do with so many people like being angry at our past, and being so
Yeah.
offended by our past, and wanting to erase it. That this is the reality. We started out as knuckle scrapers and lizard brains, and we evolved to like a more moral and more appropriate human beings. So to hate us or white America because Jefferson had slaves, it's all a bunch of crap. Let's just like be here now.
This morning, I saw that the state senator that wanted to do reparations in California, he was out there saying today that he's going to continue to push for reparations in California. And the newscaster that was interviewing him was thanking him, saying, yes, we need to get California in line. We need to make reparations to all the black people in America, in California, which wasn't even a slavery state, that we need to make reparations to black people in California to pay for all of our past indiscretions. Now, I don't know about you, but I've never had an issue with black people, or I've never, had slaves in my life.
Well, look, again, this is part of this like a bizarre woke equity kind of thing, but it's completely absurd. I'm sure these people who are doing this are getting paid by Soros or other people. It's as simple as that. It's money motivated. It can't be ethical or, motivated, because it makes no sense. It's illogical.
But here, as a psychiatrist, what is it that this guy is thinking that it's okay to make other people responsible for the actions of people who didn't even live in this state, to make them responsible for the actions of people from 200 years ago?
Most likely, he knows it's bullshit, just like everybody knew that Kamala Harris was bullshit and Biden was bullshit, and Trump's bullshit. Everybody knows the truth. It's just that they play the game. They tell their story. Oh, we really believe this, and this is really important, and this is right, and you're wrong. And give me that money, please. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's it.
Now, here, speaking of scams, do you think Social Security is a Ponzi scheme?
Boy, yeah, I hope not. But is that? I don't know. I never thought about that.
Well, here's why I asked, because Social Security right now is going to basically run out of funds in 2035. So we're talking about 10 years from now, because as of, I think, in the 80s, the money that was coming in was more than enough to pay for the money that was going out. But for the last about 15, 20 years now, the money that's coming in is not enough to pay for the money going out. But so all of this stuff,
how's that? Ponzi scheme is a scam. They just don't have the money.
But that's it. The money that's coming in now. So they had a fund that they've been building, and now the federal government has been borrowing from that fund from other parts of the government. And in 10 years, basically that fund is going to run dry, and we're going to start getting IOUs. We're already getting IOUs from the rest of the federal government, because the money that's coming in.
That's incredible. So you're saying that there's a fund that should have been protected that they've been tapping into, and they're never going to pay it back because we don't have the money.
Here, let me read this to you. The famous Social Security quote-unquote trust fund, which many Americans wrongly believe contains money paid into the program to be dispersed at a later date, doesn't really exist. The trust fund essentially consists of IOUs or promissory notes that represent claims on future tax revenues. So the money that's coming in now, we're actually using to pay people who have already earned this money. So we're robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Oh, this is really scary, and that's what everyone's talking about, is that it's all going to run out someday.
Well, and even if you'll always get some money back, because even in 2035, if that $2.8 trillion disappears, but what's going to happen is they're going to cut your benefits, whether it's for retirement or disability, around 25 to 30%. So if you were expecting to get $1,000, you're not going to get $700.
It is so amazing how, they don't care about people. You're right. They're playing all their games, putting this money in a billion different places. What good is climate change if people are starving? It's like so unfair that it's so corrupt.
Well, and Trump wants to come in now, and they're saying that if Trump gets in, he's actually going to push that up even further to 2031, because he doesn't want to tax tips, he doesn't want to tax Social Security, he wants to increase tariffs, he wants to do all these things that are actually going to make less money come in for the federal government. And I don't know where he thinks he's going to cut it. I know Elon Musk was saying, "Oh, I know how to cut $2 trillion." Well, where are you going to cut the $2 trillion? I mean, all we heard about was that they're going to have this amazing healthcare plan. There is no healthcare plan.
Okay, no, but separate the healthcare plan out of the fact that there probably is a very bloated bureaucracy with hundreds of thousands or millions of people who are redundant, who are just floating around doing nothing, and you get rid of their salaries. That's got to add up.
Well, you think it would add up, but you have to go through the government with a fine-tooth comb to get rid of all those people, and that's never going to happen.
Well, I thought, doesn't Vivek have a fine-tooth comb?
Yeah, it's probably somebody else's that he took from somebody else's pocket.
Oh, that's mean.
I mean, if you look at Vivek's history, I mean, that guy's a scumbag. I mean, that guy has stolen from people too.
Really?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's terrible what Vivek has done, and the fact that he's even in there. I mean, look, Matt Gaetz as Attorney General. I mean, the fact that Trump would even float that out there. I mean, obviously it got shot down pretty quickly. But what does that say about Trump's decision-making power that he wants to put somebody completely unqualified
Well, you know what else? Yeah, well, he might have been qualified. Gates might have been qualified for it, but
He's
wasn't
never
it?
argued. Even Ted Cruz has argued in front of the Supreme Court. He's been in court cases. Matt Gaetz hasn't done any of that. And Matt Gaetz, I mean, more and more it's coming out that the guy seems like a total pedophile. That the
Oh yeah, I
guy
know.
was.
That's the bigger amazement about Trump picking this guy
Yeah,
is the fact that people must. I assume people must have told him, "Look, his dark history is going to come out. It's going to
yeah.
kick you in the face." And Trump goes, "I don't care. I'm Trump. It'll happen this way. It'll work." And he's an idiot because it didn't work, and it makes him look bad. And all of the people who did vote for him are now going, "Holy crap! He's not as sane as we hoped he was."
I got to tell you something. A lot of the people that I know were devout Trump people, that were devout MAGA people, that were behind him all the way. He's kind of lost them on the Matt Gaetz pick, on the Tulsi Gabbard pick, and the Hegseth pick.
Yeah, yeah. It's just really sloppy to come out of the gate so fast, but impulsively and recklessly. He really didn't think this through, and he's picking out his friends or people who like he had lunch with last Tuesday. I mean, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
but isn't that sort of how he picked JD Vance? I mean, JD Vance has it should not be the vice president. I mean, there were so many other people that he could have gone with that were much more qualified and much more reasonable.
Oh yeah, and just the fact that that JD Vance, you can go and see a video of JD Vance saying he's a piece of crap. You know, why do you even want to bother having to deal with that?
And my biggest problem with Trump, I mean, and there are many, many things to pick out, but my biggest problem with Trump is that his message to the right, especially the white working class of which I came from, is anti-conservative and in some ways anti-American. It's fundamentally that the deck is so stacked against you that unless I'm the president, nothing that you do will change your life's outcomes. I think it's wrong, and I think it's very self-destructive.
Yeah, JD Vance called him the American Hitler. But Hegseth was doing the same thing. And more, they're saying that Trump's people are upset because Hegseth hit a lot of the issues that he's having now with the sexual assault claims against him.
Wow, he probably never realized he'd be elevated to this position, so he just kept hiding it all from everyone.
But wouldn't you vet this stuff before announcing them? I mean, how long does it take to vet this stuff?
Oh, it's crazy. It's so crazy. And so many of these picks, it really looks like, he went to like, his son's like PTA class and, he liked the principal or something and come on down.
But they said Donald Trump Jr. has a heavy hand in all of these picks.
Really?
Yeah. He said he's like he's sort of taken the place of Ivanka. Well, I think Ivanka was somewhat reasonable, even though she and Jared stole $2 billion from the Saudi fund.
No, what happened to them that they disappeared?
Well, I think that they knew that Trump was so toxic after 2016. No one ever thought Trump was going to come back after 2020. I mean, he was dead in the water. And that is actually one of the greatest, if not the greatest political comebacks of all time. Whether you like Trump or not is irrelevant. It was an amazing fucking comeback.
It's true, but you have the Democratic Party and the DNC and Kamala to thank for that, and Biden to thank for that. If they had someone decent running, he probably or might have lost.
Oh, I think. Well, look. I mean, he won the popular vote by the slimmest margin since Bush and Gore in 2000. Now, if you take California out of the mix, the other 49 states, he actually lost the popular vote by over 500,000 votes.
Wow, so, that's pretty wild.
Yeah. So this idea that he had a mandate, I mean, he doesn't even have 50% of the vote anymore. He's at 49 point something. So this idea that
I guess they're saying the mandate is because he swept the swing states, and that's kind of never happened before, right?
Oh, but did the Republicans say that Biden had a mandate when he did that in 2020? No.
Well, I guess not. But
I mean, Biden didn't have a mandate in 2020.
Maybe, you know what? Doesn't any president who wins have the mandate, basically?
Well, a mandate is usually, I think, like when Reagan beat Mondale, and he lost everything except for Minnesota. That's a mandate. That's when the country's really behind you. When you're getting 54, 55, 56% of the popular vote, that's a mandate. When you're not even getting 50% and you're not even winning if you take California out and you're not winning the popular vote, that's no mandate.
You know what? I don't even think it would matter though to the people on the left if he did have a mandate. If it was a blowout, I
Yeah.
still think they'd be doing what they're doing to try to like negate it and invalidate it and get rid of him.
And who are the Democrats going to run? They have 4 years. Now, they had 4 years before. All they could come up with was Biden. They have 4 years now. Who are they going to come up with? Because I don't see anybody on the horizon.
What, are you kidding me? Pete Buttigieg. Who else?
Well, speaking of mandate,
Wow, that was a good one. You're really, well, yeah, but you're right. They don't have anyone. I just saw a poll that said that 41% of the Democrats want her to run again. How crazy is that?
oh gosh, I think she's going to run for governor of California.
Well, I think she will too, and I hope she loses, and she might lose. You know, she might lose.
I don't know. I mean, there were some hopes, there were some cracks of red coming through this last vote with some of the propositions and some of the people getting into office. But I don't see California getting any better. I mean, California is not going to turn red. And more you're
It
seeing
won't.
people.
Doesn't it look like it is?
What?
That the California's turning red. Haven't they made advances from the last election?
They've made some advances, but I don't think it's enough to make a difference.
So, well, but she is so like, obviously bad, and if California keeps going downhill in terms of the homeless and it's being a sanctuary city again and a sanctuary state and just more violence and crime, it might not happen for her.
Well, you saw this in Los Angeles. I mean, they've already come out. Karen Bass has said that in response to Trump's immigration policies, that they want to make Los Angeles a sanctuary city.
Yeah, they're doubling down on breaking the law.
They're doubling down. And you know what Trump's going to do? Trump's going to say, oh, you're not going to let me use your local law enforcement. You're not going to get any of the, what's the word I'm thinking of?
I don't know, the benefits, federal funds.
Yeah, you're not going to get any benefits. You're not going to get any federal funds when you need it in emergencies. So they're doubly fucking Los Angeles and California.
Yeah, but they're doing it to themselves. They're trying to have a pissing match with Trump, and they may lose because this guy Holman, I mean, he seems like a bulldog wanting to like get rid of people. He said, "Hey, you better get packing now, people." I mean, he said if you have a sanctuary city, these governors and mayors, you're breaking the law. We're coming after you. So it could be a weird thing.
I think that had Biden actually closed the border and been more diligent on that, he would have won. They would have won this election with Kamala.
Absolutely. It's amazing how much they wanted to keep on gaslighting everybody about there's nothing to see here. It's such a stupid political move. They had so many millions of people come through for whatever purpose they wanted to in the first place. They should have like months ago said, okay, we're closing it down. We're going to get rid of criminals. They're stupid. They're not political animals in a good way.
And did you see this fucking asshole that killed Laken Riley? I mean, he's sitting in that courtroom. He was just sentenced. He didn't give a shit.
Oh yeah, yeah. And the fact that they didn't look, I'm not a big fan of the death penalty, but because you don't want to make mistakes. But when it's this clear, they should have burned this guy.
I love the death penalty. I don't think we do it enough. I think they should have if you kill somebody, rape somebody, or murder somebody, there should be mandatory death penalty within 1 year.
Yeah, yeah. This whole idea of having these people on death row for 20 years while they're appealing it is absurd. Totally absurd. Yeah.
Menendez, guilty, innocent, or getting out?
They're guilty, regardless of whether they were abused. And I don't know if they'll get out or not. I don't know what the mood is now of those people.
Can you kill two people in cold murder and blow their heads off and be recovered in 40 years? Can you be somebody that can go into society and be okay, or is that complete bullshit?
Well, you could say that they in general were not sociopaths or psychopaths going around randomly, serially killing people. They had a specific target for a specific reason. So I think you can make the case that they're not going to be dangerous to society in general, unless someone pisses them off again. But who knows?
I was going to say, would you hire the Menendez brothers for anything?
No, because there is something sick and wrong with them. If
you had young kids, would you let them babysit your kids?
Of course not. No.
Then why the fuck are we even thinking about letting them out? I mean, this is my point. These are two animals. Look, if you were abused, I'm sorry, but that doesn't give you a license to fucking blow your parents' heads off with a shotgun.
Okay, so this is more of the DEI woke equity thing. Let's be fair to criminals and see the criminals as the victims.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, look at their victims. They've been held in prison for so long. Have some mercy and compassion. No, where was their compassion, their mercy? It should have gone through the legal process of getting their parents and put them in jail.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? And it was Gascon that was behind this because he saw I mean, think about it. What DA from any major city watches a Netflix movie and says, "Oh, you know what? These guys should be let go."
Well, the fact that they finally got rid of this guy is what makes me think a red wave is kind of coming along here in California.
I hope so. I don't see it happening. I think California. I think the breaking point of California is going to happen in about 4 or 5 years, and you're going to see things really go into the shitter even more.
Yeah, or maybe they can secede from the union and be their own country, and then they can leave us alone.
And yeah, you know what? They already tried that experiment. It's called Mexico. Walter, on that note, I think it's time for one of my favorite Bible verses. What's your favorite Bible verse, Walter?
Oh boy, let me see. I don't know. I don't know. Love ye one another. No, is that a verse? I don't know.
Is that a verse or is that what's
Verily,
your favorite amendment then?
Verily I saith to you, what? An amendment?
What's your favorite amendment from? Well, it's if you're looking at this Bible, yeah.
The Second Amendment. What else?
The second.
No, my favorite is freedom of speech. That's my favorite one.
Well, it was the Second Amendment. The Menendez brothers use, so they're obviously their favorite amendment.
No, I was teasing about that. I believe that your freedom of speech is critical in a democracy and a free society.
I agree, and I'm going to give you the last word, so you have freedom of speech on this episode. I think that's the 2028 Democrat campaign slogan.
Man, you know what? It's so sad that they're not figuring out a new strategy and staying with the same playbook. It's really stupid. Anyway,
and is JD Vance going to be the
yes
front runner in 2028?
Yeah, he's going to do it, and he's going to win if the Democrats don't do something different.
I don't think.
And if Trump succeeds, I got to qualify that too. And if Trump succeeds,
do you think Trump is healthy enough to get through the next 4 years? He's going to be 82 in 4 years.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say, but I know he's not as advanced as Biden was when he took office in terms of dementia. Yeah.
All right. Well, we shall pick this up next week. Thank you for joining us. For Walter Jacobson, Walter, always a pleasure.
Likewise. Thank you.
We'll see you guys next week. Take care.
Take care.
I don't know what they have to say. It makes no difference anyway. Whatever it is, I'm against it. No matter what it is or who commenced it, I'm against it.